Hello there, it's Bryan Hubbard in London and at the What Doctors Don't Tell You offices. The very latest issue of What Doctors Don't Tell You, the October 2010 issue, has just arrived. So again, as usual, I'd just like to run through some of the key elements of it and share those with you. The cover story is called A Mind to Heal, and as you can guess from the title, it is all about how the mind affects the body and how it can be used as a healing agent. It's not particularly new stuff in the sense that, I suppose, for many years now, doctors have said stuff like, well, keep a positive attitude, and religious people have prayed for others, and indeed there's the placebo effect, of course, where a dummy pill has been set against a real drug, and of course has had an enormous effect on someone's well-being and indeed illness, suggesting that the mind actually has played a considerable part in that process, and it obviously hasn't been the drug itself. But no one's really systematically gone through all the research material to actually analyse just how effective the mind is. It goes back really only to the 1960s, and I suppose one of the most famous examples was a journalist called Norman Cousins, who had been diagnosed with serious heart disease, so serious that the doctors didn't really expect him to live for more than another year or so. Well, Mr. Cousins wasn't too happy with that prognosis and decided to do something about it himself. And he went home and he got out his favourite Marx Brothers and Laurel and Hardy movies and started watching them, and he just laughed himself to wellness. And this was a good example of how the mind can interact with the body. But in this study we've gone through all the latest research to discover just how the mind does affect the body, and we start with an amazing story from Ohio State University, who analysed the well-being of a large group of women who had been, whose breast cancer had returned some 10 years after its first appearance, and it was interesting to see how their health actually improved. The cancer went away just from trying some new psychological techniques and mind interventions of various sorts. These women stayed well for years afterwards. Now, elsewhere in this journal, we also look at the area of new drugs, the new pharmaceutical drugs, which are really the lifeblood of the pharmaceutical industry, is where most of their profits come from. But this study has demonstrated that in fact 85% of new drugs that come on the market have no therapeutic benefit over and above existing drugs, of similar drugs, and yet actually have more side effects, usually because they've increased the agents in the drugs. The drug industry obviously is very familiar with this, and they call these new drugs lemons, and it's because they know more about the products than the consumer does. We also have a new section called New Healing, and it's a very interesting one this time. Some years ago my mother had end-stage breast cancer, and it was turned round with very high dose vitamin C, but it was given intravenously. Now, in fact, that was the only way at the time that the body could tolerate such high levels of vitamin C, and for the vitamins still to be effective. But in this report we look at a whole new delivery mechanism where a very high dose of vitamin C can be taken orally and still be effective. We also look at another buzz supplement, I suppose, called glyconutrients, and everywhere you look there are all sorts of claims for these supplements, and we analyse this and wonder, well, do these claims really stack up? And it makes for very interesting reading. On the condition of the month we look at insomnia. Now, I think something like nearly half the population just doesn't get a good night's sleep, and what can they do about it? Well, obviously some do resort to sleeping pills, but that's a very short-term solution. And this report looks at many alternative therapies that have been proven to work well and have eased people's insomnia, if not entirely eradicated it. And finally, our medical detective Harold Geyer continues his look at herbal supplements for women over the age of 50 and ones they really ought to be taking as part of their daily regime. So that's what Doctors Don't Tell You October. You can get it one of two ways, and at the end of this video we'll put up some URLs, some web addresses which will guide you to the best site depending on what you want to do. If you physically want to get the journal delivered to your home and you can't get this at the newsagents, can't buy it on the newsstands, but if you want it delivered to your home every month, you go to the WDDTY Health Shop where you can place an order for a 12-month subscription. If you don't want to wait that long and you'd like all sorts of other benefits as well, you can join the WDDTY VIP Club, where this is delivered to you instantly as a PDF, together with, I think now something like 15 other reports, plus I think 5 health books that we have prepared, and it gives you access to the regular health teleseminars we run. So they're the two options you have, and I hope you do one of them. So great, thanks for watching. Bryan Hubbard, and speak to you again next month. Thanks.